Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas here with you this morning. We are welcoming Randy Clace, who is the administrator for Worcester Christian School. Good morning.
Good morning.
So you've been at Worcester Christian School how long, Randy?
I just finished up my 12th year at the school. I was hired basically fresh out of college to teach music. My background was in music education, and to make my job a full-time job, added a few other teaching responsibilities in there over the years. And then after 7 years of teaching, was offered the chance to take on the administrative portion of the school. So I've been the administrator at the school for 5 years now, and really love what I do.
Yeah, it's got to be great with the kids. Help us, connect the dots between teaching music and then being able to oversee everything. There had to be a little bit of a learning curve there.
There was definitely some learning curve. Coming out of undergraduate, I certainly never thought of administration as something that I was really looking at doing. But in my first few years of teaching, started to see that maybe I had a knack for some of those administrative gifts. And just had several people through the years kind of drop hints at me that they saw God working in my life that way. And when it came time to start my master's degree, I did go ahead and decide to pursue administration. Again, in order to make my job a full-time job, I took on some administrative assistant responsibilities. And when it was time for the current administrator to retire, the school board asked me if I'd be interested, and after some prayer, decided it was the right fit for me.
So great. Yeah, it's another one of those great stories. So tell us a little bit about Worcester Christian School. Tell us about the students. Tell us about the teachers.
Okay. Well, Worcester Christian School is we're not quite 30 years old, but I think this coming year will be our, I believe it's 28th year in existence. We serve the Worcester community. We represent about 40 different church congregations, so we definitely would be considered a non-denominational school. We are housed at Grace Church, and we are a ministry of that church. We have about, this last year we had 215 students, and we have programming for preschool all the way through 8th grade. And then after 8th grade, our kids disperse and go to other schools in the area.
Are you supported financially through the church, or are there other funding sources available to you? How are you funded?
Yes. We
all
have
of the above.
All of the above, yes. Mm-hmm. The church does give us an annual support gift. We also are primarily tuition driven, so since we are a private school, our families pay tuition, and that is where we raise the bulk of our money. And we do a couple fundraisers throughout the year. We do try to keep those to a minimum so that we're not nickel and diming our families with lots of fundraisers throughout the year. But we sell a buy one, get one free card for the Worcester and Wayne County area in the fall. And then we do a big auction in the spring. And those two fundraisers, along with people's private donations, supplement the rest of what we need to meet our budget each year.
But I definitely want to pursue that auction a little bit more, find out more about it when we talk about the highlights of your year, kind of go through the school year. But while we're talking about families, tell me a little bit about family involvement. I think that's one thing I've noticed about the difference between Christian school, maybe and some other schools, is the families are so involved in day-to-day operations and extracurriculars and so forth. You want to talk about your families a little bit?
Sure. Well, we're blessed with some really great families at Worcester Christian School, and yes, they are invested in their children and in their lives and in their education, from bringing them into the school building in the morning to volunteering throughout the year, being supportive of everything they do, helping them with their academics, communicating well with the teachers. We just we're really blessed in that regard. And research pans out that helps students' achievement when parents are invested in their kids' education.
About how many students are we talking about at Worcester Christian School now?
We had 215 this last year. Mm-hmm. So God has been blessing our school. We've grown by about 80 students in the last 2 years. After kind of dipping in our enrollment, in 2008 or so when the economic recession hit a little bit, we did take a a hit with our enrollment, but we've been able to bounce back, and we're doing real strong right now. We're doing well, and God just seems to be blessing the school and its ministry.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about the scope of Worcester Christian School, not just K through 8, but the kinds of things, academic programs and so forth, experiences that the children get to experience.
One of our things at Worcester Christian School is we're really committed to seeing students growing spiritually, academically, and socially. So we certainly are committed to a strong academic program, but also a Christ-centered education, and offering students a lot of opportunities to maybe cultivate interests and passions that God has given them. So we try to offer quite a few extracurricular activities, especially for our older students, whether that's drama club or math club or robotics club, just opportunities to be engaged outside of the school day, and pursuing a well-rounded education.
What does that look like? Because that sounds very exciting. When you are integrating faith into robotics club, for example, just how are the teachers able to mash those two things together into one?
Well, it's really about the understanding that I like to say that God's Word is our root system. So when something is your root system, everything that grows is affected by that. So rather than just saying, we're a Christian school, we tack prayer onto the beginning of the day, or we tack chapel onto Friday afternoons, and we do those things and we believe they're very important, but it's a much more holistic approach because everything grows out of that. And just an understanding that, maybe to use this term, all truth is God's truth. So when we are studying the scientific world and the order that is there, we're looking in, really into the face of God and saying, wow, look at how you created this and put this together. So, it's just woven into the fabric of who we are as a school.
That takes us to core values. I'm sure that all goes together. Talk about the core values of Worcester.
Well, we have 5 core values at Worcester Christian School. And the first one is our Christian foundation, and it's that root system idea. As a matter of fact, if you were to look at our school shield, there's a tree with roots on it, and just that picture of being rooted and grounded in God's Word, and also our desire for our students to become rooted and grounded in their faith as a result of being a student Worcester Christian. So, I tell our new families that are coming in every year that really informs everything that we do, how we hire staff, how we choose curriculum, how we handle discipline issues. So it's just an all-encompassing thing for our school. Our second core value is superior academics, and just our desire to provide a quality academic program for our students. For us, that means a very student-centered approach to academics, helping each student reach their full potential and giving them relevant classroom experiences. I think about how much the world of how we access information has changed since I was in school.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Just with the technology and the access to information. We can say to people, information is so easy to come by in this day and age, but the truth of the matter is that misinformation is now so easy to come by in this day and age. So really in our working with students, we need to be teaching them how to discern what they are learning or what information they are taking in, and also teaching them how to apply what they've learned to their lives, because there's studies out there that say about 60% of kids that are entering kindergarten today will end up working a job that doesn't even exist right now. And so, as educators, we're looking back and saying, well, we are preparing students for a very unknown future. But if we can teach them how to learn, and we can teach them how to apply what they've learned, and we can teach them how to discern, then I think we're setting them up for success. The third core value for Worcester Christian School is our learning environment, and just our desire and commitment to create an environment where students are safe, loved, and encouraged, believing that that's the kind of place that they're going to flourish and be able to be nurtured along. I look at how much God's Word has to say about how we treat one another and about how we, handle ourselves when conflict arises, and I think this is often mimicked in the public sector in the world when they look at anti-bullying curriculums and character education programs, and so much of it is biblically based. And yet the great thing for us at a Christian school is we can really embrace that, go right to the source, acknowledge God as the author of that, and really coach our kids through how do we treat one another and how do we handle our relationships with our fellow students, and through that, feel like we offer a really positive environment for our students. We have some phenomenal teachers and staff members at Worcester Christian School that just love on kids and really know how to nurture them and care and show that they care, at the same time challenging them and holding them to a high standard.
Yes.
So the fourth core value for us is leadership. And, we recognize that not every student is going to be a take charge, extroverted, vocal type leader. Mm-hmm. But we do believe that God has created each of our students with a unique personality, with a unique set of gifts and talents and passions that they can use for His glory and to meet the needs of people around them. So really teaching students at a young age to be good stewards of the gifts God's given them. And, as they get a little bit older and are starting to identify what those interests are and maybe what the things that they feel like they excel in, give them an opportunity to cultivate those and use those for His glory and to serve others. And our last core value at Worcester Christian School is partnership. We recognize that God has put parents as the primary disciplers and primary teachers of their children. And our goal is to come alongside and partner with parents and churches to provide an education that is really, in line with their worldview and their value system, and just feel like we can accomplish so much more when we're all working together.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, those are quite an undertaking, but what awesome core values that are Worcester Christian School. We're speaking with Randy Clace. He's the administrator of Worcester Christian School. We wouldn't pretend that every child who attends is there maybe for a reason other than mom or dad want them to be there. I'm sure there are stories of children who then, as they go through your curriculum and what's supported at home and in the church, come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, a true personal relationship that maybe wasn't there when they first. Do you have some cool stories of what attending Worcester Christian School has done in the lives of some children?
I mean, we definitely, I think our school is geared, philosophically towards a discipleship model. But, we have students coming in at 3 years old. So, So many of our students are so young and so impressionable. And through the year, oftentimes we'll hear stories about preschool students that, are making leaps in their faith and making decisions to want to trust Jesus because of the things that they're learning at school. I've heard stories. I heard a story about a young boy that came to our school, and his family was not real involved in church, and as a result of attending the school, he got saved, and then he started talking to his parents about it, and they got involved in the church and stuff. So those are really powerful stories, just because this may have been the only exposure that they really had, and understanding that we have an opportunity to be a witness and share our testimony, even in a Christian environment.
I can tell you do not take that opportunity lightly. We're speaking with Randy Clace. He's the administrator of Worcester Christian School. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.